Hello, welcome to Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. Well, state lawmakers have passed workers' compensation reform with a little something in it to please both workers and employers. With us now, Curt Hagman, to talk about that and other things. Welcome.
Great to be here again. Yeah, the last week of session of a 2-year cycle gets very busy, and there's a lot of sometimes major legislation comes through because I think it's easier to pass it than go through the whole process. This was brought up to us at the end of the last few days of session, but for once there's a good reform that we agree with that really does benefit both the employers and the employees. In fact, they were meeting outside the Capitol. Yeah,
both employers and employees are satisfied, and Republicans and Democrats passed it very easily. Why is it this legislation could do something that practically nothing else can in Sacramento?
Well, the cynical view of it, it was actually done outside the Capitol. We're not involved. In reality, what had happened at the last major reform over a decade ago to really bring down our workers' comp prices, which we needed, things had to be shaken out. And who hurt the most from that was the employees. And what we found out after looking at the numbers after 10 years of doing it, that a good chunk, about 37% of the money, of the pool of money being spent on this, was spent on attorneys and lawsuits fighting the system.
Yeah, sometimes there's unintended consequences. You want to put reforms into place to benefit, but then things happen like that.
Yeah, exactly. So the employers are saying, look, we're already paying these premiums. We don't want them to go up, and we got to fight what's broken in the system. The employees and the union groups got together and say, look, we need more benefits, but we'll make it a streamlined system. So some of the things, instead of going to court to see if someone deserves to get more medical treatment, appeal a process, they go to, like what the insurance companies have, is a panel of doctors, and they can look at it. And it's done
rather than a judge with no medical training making these decisions. Doctors, well, that's a very good idea.
Exactly. So the net result is actually we should have some worker comp premium come down. The first initial numbers from State Fund is a reduction in premium, which is very nice. And there's a lot more benefits, especially for the permanently disabled employers, and in the process they should get better medical care after all this.
It sounds like what they were trying to weed out is the people who have a finger injury and then say they have sexual dysfunction and psychological damage because of that.
Yes, they have to have some kind of related stuff to get some of those psychological problems they have treated, as well as more medical focused. This is all about medicine and about assessing and giving you what you need, but not going through all this other stuff. So it's only more medical, less mental.
So for the employers then, better insurance costs.
They get more consistency because as things go to court, things could blow up very quickly, especially for the big self-insurers throughout the state who have paid their own medical and pay their own claims. So you get more consistency that they can rate with the insurance companies.
On this topic, do you see other areas where reforms could be made as smart, as easily?
Well, nothing's ever easy up there because there's always winners and losers. Here, the trial lawyers lost a lot.
But when something can be gained by both sides and through a process that makes sense to both sides?
I sure hope so. SECA, which is the California, the Environmental Quality Act that builders and developments have to go through. We have one of the most complex systems around to protect our environment, but it drags out, getting permit for 2 or 3 years, sometimes in major projects. A lot of litigation there. We had some hints of we get there a reform this year, and I hope we can take it on next year because that could really help streamline and get the economy going if we get that fixed.
It would be nice to see things just getting done that makes sense with like a bunch of grown-ups.
Yep, good news for once.
Okay, thank you very much, Assemblyman Curt Hagman.
You.
Always nice to see you, and thank you for tuning in. We hope you check out other local editions on demand, on My Government On Demand, or on YouTube. I'm Leslie Leyton.